well done. Puede haber Pakowski, centra. And Riga
Hi, and welcome to the Latvian Football Podcast. It's been a month since we last spoke to you. It's been a month of exciting Virsliga action, and so we are here to talk about what happened and to talk about some very relevant topic that might not be super pleasant, but we'll get to that in a moment. How have you been?
I've been good. It's been a very full-on start to the season, a bit too full-on, trying to find the balance of life, work, projects, and then a very heavy-hitting start to the season. But it's been a cool start, pretty out there, yeah.
I mean, last time I said that this is going to be the best Virsliga ever. And I mean, am I right?
I only have 4 years Virsliga experience, so this has been a great season and there's been some really good football. There's been lots of drama. It's been a difficult start for some teams and it's been non-stop. So it's certainly been entertaining.
So we're recording this after match day 5, and by the time it's released, it'll probably be around match day 6. But up until last week, Daugavpils were leading the Virsliga table convincingly. Not on a technicality, but because they earned it.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that? I didn't, because I put them last in my predictions. Well,
I think they've found the perfect balance this season, but I'm sure we're going to talk about it a little bit later. But they've got the city seem to be behind them. Great turnout last game. They've really developed a very good squad, a good team with a solid spine and some really impressive attacking football as well, and a really good balance of some local youth who are really passionate about the team, very focused. With some really exciting attacking players who have, if you look at the stats in terms of goals, assists and so on, they're playing some great football. They deserve to be where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. To be, just excuse myself a little bit, I did make that prediction before all the RFS loanees, but when they played RFS without those guys, they still put up a tremendous performance, and I'm just happy to be wrong at this point.
Yeah, I think that they've stood out. They've stood out because their defence they've conceded so few goals. They've been really focused. They've used the right players at the right time, and their tactics have been spot on. They've been impressive, and I hope they can continue with that. But they've demonstrated that they're a difficult team to beat at home, and they've turned up to away matches motivated, focused, and determined to get results, which they have. And they're second, so it's good to see. It's nice to see. We'll see how they get on later in the season when injuries. Requirement for fringe players need to start coming in and so on, but they've got a good place in terms of their home stadium, and it's a difficult place for teams to go, and they're proving that.
Yeah, well, it's a long drive for anyone, and at the moment Riga are top of the table, having edged past Daugavpils by a point. Then we have Daugavpils in second position with 3 wins, 2 draws, and no losses. I love that. That's fantastic. Number 3 are RFS, followed by Tukums and Valmiera, all 3 standing at 10 points. And then we have Meta, Auda, now Liepaja, who pretty much spent all the time up until now scraping the bottom, but managed to squeeze out a win out of Auda just in this last match day. So we have Liepaja and then Grobiņa and Jelgava at the bottom. Every team lost points.
Yeah, that's. I'm a little bit disappointed about that, but it's made the league more competitive as a result. So it's good that it's very competitive right now, and the top of the lead is there for the taking. So yeah, I think that's exciting, but there's been no really standout team just yet.
I agree. It's very dynamic, and it's not just dynamic in like the second half of the table or anything like that. It's dynamic all the way up. I mean, the first 5 places are separated by 2 points. That's just magnificent.
Yeah, and I think goals conceded by the top, well, predominantly four of the main top teams have conceded less than 3 goals. Riga and Daugavpils, they've only let through 2 goals this season in defence. So yeah, there's some interesting areas there as well in terms of defending has been more positive this season, and there's been a really good balance of teams defending well but also attacking. I think some of the experience in the league has been seen with some big defensive errors as well, though. But overall, in terms of the goals scored and the goals conceded, it's looking like a very professional league at the moment so far. There's not been a major, other than a 5-1. I think there's been a big...
Yeah, RFS thrashing Jelgava, but even there they pulled a goal back. It was the first ever goal scored by FS Jelgava versus RFS. So I mean, they lost big time, but some history has been made.
Some history's been made, but they got outplayed. And
they came out thinking that they can play equal to RFS, and immediately got hit by 2 or 3 fast counterattacks, and they were 3-0 down.
Yeah,
very early in the game.
Yeah, bottom of the league. I think Grobina, maybe they've been the most impressive of the 3 at the bottom at the moment. But yeah, Jelgava, they're sitting at the bottom for a reason. They're not their performance. They haven't really turned up so far this season, so we'll see what happens there.
It's a bit of a disappointment with Jelgava. Grobina, it's a bit misleading where they are, because even though they are yet to win a game, unlike Jelgava, they actually control the ball a lot of the time. It's just really a matter of time until they squeeze the points that they deserve out of the league.
Do you think they're going to stay up? Do you think they'll be all right this season?
I think
based
so.
on what you've seen.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a teething period now that they're in Virsliga, but again they have no issue controlling the ball. Defensively, they're all right. They're a young team, so I think they'll hit their stride and they'll start picking points up.
I'm not convinced. I wouldn't be surprised if they go down at this moment. I think Jelgava, RFS, the defence weren't tracking back enough. They didn't look organised. They looked a bit all over the place. Not quite as bad as Liepaja this season, but they're going to have a hard season. I think they didn't make some big changes in pre-season. They've got a new manager, but I think it's not going to be an easy season for Jelgava.
I thought you were asking me about Grobina.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Grobina. On the other hand, Grobina, they went to Valmiera and they played well. They stood their ground and did well.
They almost won, but I mean, to be fair, that game Valmiera hit the framework like 5 times, and I mean, it would have been just supremely unjust had Grobina won.
Yeah.
So it's luck.
Yeah.
That one. But
yeah.
Jelgava, I agree. If they keep as they are, and I thought they'll have difficulty because of their no loaned players made up rule, but right now they're just not showing anything that would inspire confidence.
Yeah, so you think Grobina are going to be fine? Jelgava, on the other hand?
I'm concerned.
You're concerned, yeah.
I'm disappointed, let's say that. I'm not yet concerned because it's only been 5 games, right?
Yeah.
We still have 31 games to go. But they're not, in my mind, this romantic underdog team from last season anymore, which is a concern I expressed in our previous episode. Now they're just disappointing.
There's going to be a proper scrap at the bottom this season, and I think Meta have come out pretty well. Daugavpils are doing well, so it's going to be challenging for the team struggling.
Daugavpils at the bottom. Daugavpils are going for Champions League, my friend.
We'll see about that. I think,
or at least the Conference League next season.
It's all good. It's going to be down to what happens for Auda next. I think it's going to determine that kind of top 4 mid-table situation. But yeah, bottom of the table is we'll see how that materialises later in the season, or even next round.
Well, in any case, it's exciting, and it's the most exciting Virsliga table in recent years. We don't have a 2-horse race out the gates. Far from it. It's just anything can happen at this point. But let's talk about some players.
Yeah. So it has, as you say, it's been exciting, and there have been all sorts of games. I felt that the team started a lot more organised, and you could see a lot more strategy in games earlier on, and it's become a bit more spread out in terms of how teams have approached games, and that you can see that a little bit in the players as well. And I think Riga FC have really demonstrated that they kind of stuck to their tactics. They had a bit of they got outplayed against Valmiera, and there's some really good standout players there. I think Muzinga, he wasn't match sharp against Valmiera, but he's suddenly been put into a holding midfield role, and I think that's been a stroke of genius by the Riga manager. I think that might fix Riga FC's defensive midfield situation and problem that they had last season. So I think he's one player. Didn't play so well against Valmiera, but he I don't even want to name him first, but he's the first that popped into my mind. I think that's going to make a big impact on the Riga team. How about yourself? What do you think in terms of
Muzinga?
Yeah, Muzinga, and then the standout players.
I mean, Muzinga is a great talent that's been in Riga FC for a few years now. So he played in Dijon previously in France. So he's great. We know that. He, as at least as Jurgis Counts pointed out, he can be a bit lazy, and you can see that he doesn't like to run a lot. So in that sense, holding midfield might be a better role for him than right back or right wing back, where you have to run a lot. But he can play pretty much anywhere in the midfield and defense. I feel like so.
Yeah. So, and I think not necessarily a standout player, but someone who's going to do something good this season.
He's an important player for Riga FC, no doubt.
Yeah. I think Balodis for Valmiera. They lost against Auda, but he's a sort of character that team needs right now, and he was aggressive, he was motivated, determined, and he tried to get the team moving. And I think that's what they missed last season. Someone who had a bit of fire in their belly, and he scored a goal against Auda. And Valmiera kept 2 clean sheets as well against Riga FC and RFS, and they were very focused, really focused against those 2 big teams. So 2 clean sheets. I think he stood out as a captain, and he's played well. He's been playing some good football. Auda result was really disappointing, and that was partly down to his defensive partner making some stupid mistakes and losing concentration. Yeah. But yeah, he's another one. Balodis for Valmiera at the back. Yeah, I think he's been excellent. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, just go through your list.
Go through my list. Okay. I think Auda, we'll see what happens with Auda. I think they're lacking league experience right now. But the Nigerian winger, Oguni, excuse my pronunciation, but yeah, he's scored 2 goals, got 1 assist. I saw him. He was non-stop going up, attacking, taking the ball forward. I think he's doing quite well. Then I think Emerson, not a big fan. I don't think he pulls his weight in defence, but he's quite a big impact. I think the Ukrainian midfielder for Valmiera, Korobenko, holding midfielder, he did really well against Riga FC, really winning the ball, brilliant technique, and working within that trio of midfielders at Valmiera with Vapna and Gustavo. They really, really had an excellent work rate start of the season, dropped off a little bit against Auda. But yeah, Korobenko is looking like a very good player and one to look out for. And I think he's holding that Valmiera midfield really well at the moment. Particularly,
I was surprised. I didn't think much of him, but I mean, the guy is doing great stuff.
I think he's he's one to look out for, and I think that's what if they can keep those three midfielders fit, I think that they should. Fit and consistent is the other thing as well. That's been the other issue. Yeah, I think that's my main players, and we've done our top 11 this for March and April. Traore as well for Daugavpils as well has been pretty solid, scoring goals and helping them with attack. And of course, yeah, Regjar as well.
Yeah, Marco is amazing. He is not. It looks like he's not going to be a one season wonder. He picked up right where he left off last season, and he just keeps on scoring goals. And in fact, his goals scored exceeds his expected goals by a few points, which is very, very impressive. Other than that one empty goal that he missed in the last game, other than that, there's just no fault to his game, and it's. I mean,
yeah, I think he's the best goal scorer in the league.
Yeah.
He's got a really good presence in the box. You'd want him in your team,
and he just became the top goal scorer ever for Riga FC with a whopping 27 goals.
Yeah.
Which is good on you, Marco, but that also kind of says a lot about Riga FC.
Yeah. He's got some good players around him as well, delivering the ball. But they're the players that have stood out for me. There's plenty, but I think in terms of consistency and pivotal to game results, they're the ones that stood out.
Yeah, and in terms of teams, if maybe you're watching this, listening to this, and you're thinking, well, this sounds fun, I want to get in on this, but what are these teams with strange names I know nothing about? Well, some recommendations that you might want to consider. Definitely have a look at Daugavpils, as we talked already. Very exciting team, very transitional football, quick, just very dangerous this season. Definitely worth watching if you're into this kind of an underdog kicking butt kind of a situation. They're great. They are from it's basically a second largest city in Latvia, kind of sandwiched between borders with Russia and Belarus. Very
Latgala, it's a beautiful region.
Latgala is
one
beautiful.
of my favourite places.
Daugavpils,
it's very wild, yeah.
Maybe a bit of depends on what you're into.
Well, there's some interesting museums. You've got the Mark Rothko Museum. There's situated in a historic fort. I've always had a good time in Daugavpils. I think it's an interesting place to go, and it's worth a visit. Football and a bit of culture, and there's a few good museums, and then you've got some beautiful surroundings. So.
Yeah. Then if you're into big clubs, I think Riga FC is the one to follow at the moment. They are playing this new short passing kind of tiki-taka-esque type of football. It doesn't always fit yet together, but it's starting to gel. Players are starting to get familiar with it. And some of the combinations they delivered in the last games, that's just, Barcelona at its peak kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think they've got some of the most interesting assortment of players and some really talented individuals. who are great on the eye in terms of skills and variety of techniques when it comes to football. And they've got a good blend of some of the best Latvian internationals and Southern Americans and some African players and so on. So
yeah. Riga went wholesale shopping to South America this pre-season and brought in some very exciting stuff.
Yeah, they've played a little bit. They've been in and out of the squad, but yeah, hopefully we'll see a bit more of them.
If you are a fan of positional football, RFS is the team to go. They're doing better than they did last season at this point, but essentially, positional football at its best in the Latvian league. Just gonna put the ball left to right until the oppositional team gets seasick or dislocates, a disc while tracking that. More of a scholarly football, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Than anything.
Some big players as well and good on set pieces. But, yeah.
And if you just like football because it makes you frustrated, I think Liepaja is the team to go.
Yeah, and they've got a stadium on the beach, which I'm right next to the beach.
I mean, so do Grobinja now.
So
it's the same stadium, but Liepaja are frustrating to watch at the moment because they do have excellent players on the team, or very good players at the very least, and yet they are -10 in goals scored to conceded, and they just gotten their first 3 points. So why are Liepaja frustrating? What's wrong with Liepaja, I think, is the question for today. This is what we're going to focus in this episode. Liepaja are an important team. They are a very big footballing city in Latvia. And yet this season, 5 match days, barely 3 points, 1 goal scored, 11 goals conceded. And had we recorded this a few days earlier, we would have been talking about Liepaja with 0 points and 0 goals scored.
Yeah, well, after yesterday's performance against Auda, they scraped rather controversially, according to the Auda manager. But yeah, they've had a bit of a bad start. They've lost a lot of their fans, it seems, possibly to their noisy neighbour. But I'm sure we'll talk about their fans later, the Breaking Bad fans. They've had a disastrous start. They've signed a hell of a lot of players, and the players don't seem to be blending too well.
Well, they had a disastrous start this year, but last season wasn't great. They finished 5th. The season before that wasn't great. I don't remember which they finished, but they were finished outside of the European competition spots. And in fact, it's been now, 3 years that they've played in Europe, since they played in Europe, which for Liepaja, as I said, it's a significant city. It graduated some of the most iconic Latvian footballers there are. Grobinja's coach, Viktor Dobricovs, iconic Liepaja striker, Marius Virpakovskis, top scorer of Latvian national team ever, guy who scored against Real Madrid in the Champions League, also from Liepaja. Current players, Robert Savarnieks, the right back for RFS and national team, came through Liepaja. Jānis Ikaunieks, captain of the national team and one of the most creative, active Latvian midfielders, there, also came from Liepaja. It's just the list is really huge, and if we're going back in history, Liepaja always produced these very interesting, attacking, creative, kind of free-spirited players that made a lot of difference. And now,
now you're struggling to see. You're not seeing any exciting players at the moment in terms of Latvian youth players in the Latvian squad.
Well, that's the thing. There are pretty much no Latvian youth players playing in Liepaja, other than, as it seems, what is the minimal requirement to be able to play in Virsliga.
Yeah. They had was it 4 or 5 Georgian players turn up to a match with all holding flags.
5 plus coach.
Had they been drinking the night before, celebrating the great Georgian team qualifying?
Why are you asking me? I'm not part of that party.
It seemed a bit of a celebration, and I think as a fan I'd be a bit annoyed when they're not getting results, and they should be head down focused, I think. But they've got, I mean, if you look at them on the pitch, there's no excitement there. I mean, they beat Auda 1-0 yesterday, and you could literally hear Tomasz fighting for the points. Every move, every time they got the ball, you could just hear the voice on TV. I mean, I wasn't even there, but he was louder than the commentators yesterday.
He usually is loud, but that doesn't translate into on-pitch performance.
Yeah.
And fans are getting really fed up with this. Rightly so, I think. Liepaja does still, shockingly, have a fan movement. It's called Amber City.
Okay, yeah.
And they are active, but they're completely, well, it seems, disconnected from the club. And this is just painful to see because, as I said, Liepaja always had a very strong football history in Latvia. And even the current Liepaja team had that up until like 2018 or so. Because this FK Liepaja club that we're witnessing now, it's not just some random thing that was founded in 2014, I think, or 2016. This is the most recent, latest iteration that is just at the, spear point of a very long heritage of football that comes from Liepaja. And before Liepaja, there was the famous Liepaja's Metallurgs, and before that, there were the teams during the occupation, the Zvejnieks, which is the fisherman team. There was the Red Metallurg, and before that, they were the very, very important team called Liepaja's Olymp or Olympia.
Yeah.
Essentially, the team that started playing football when football started to be played in Latvia in early 1900s.
Early 1900s, yeah.
And this team is... All right, so before we get into why I think it's frustrating, we ran a survey on social media asking a very simple question that is basically what's wrong with Liepaja.
Yeah.
And it was a multiple choice survey. The questions were what's wrong with Liepaja, coach, players, owners, or nothing's wrong. Come down, alluding to Tamaz's dismissive remarks.
I can see which one. I can see which one you voted for there, and you voted for the coach.
No, I didn't vote for anyone.
You didn't vote for anyone. Okay.
Podcast voted for the coach.
The podcast. Okay, well,
maybe it was you.
No, I think I voted for something else.
Yeah. So coach took number one spot with 41% of responses, and owners went second with 34, and the total sample was 113 votes. So nothing representative, but also, 113 votes is probably how many fans Liepaja has left. Realistically.
Yeah, it's quite a good public opinion poll.
And we only held it for 24 hours, so maybe
24-hour poll, which indicated 41% of the people weren't happy with Tamas.
Yeah, not happy with the coach, but shockingly 34 were not happy with owners. And I don't know about you, but if you have a situation where fans are not happy with both the head coach and the management, what's the silver lining?
Well,
where do you go from here?
Yeah, there's a bit of a sort of like wheeler-dealer situation going on. They've clearly invested money in players, and they've got a big squad. Did they need all those players? I don't think they did. I don't think they necessarily needed all those players. They were short of players last season. They had a lot of injury. Well, they had some injuries, and they didn't have quite the replacements. They've got some good experience from within the league and some random outsiders. I think that, they've made Lucas Silgadze, the captain. He was a fringe player at Valmiera. Under Carnes, he was an impact player that would come on. He's their captain now. They've got the Tunisian guy from Valmiera as well, Karmani. Yeah,
These are not even Latvian names. Come on, Frank. You need to get your game up to speed.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't think these players were quite good enough for the league.
Yeah.
In terms of one being captain and one starting the game. So I think their signings have been quite bad, and these random names coming in as well.
And then the names that aren't random, like Dodo, he's pushing 40.
Yeah, so he's been a consistent scorer, the top scorer for the previous 2 seasons, but he's just not getting any service this season. He's kind of a little bit lost on the pitch. I wasn't sure whether he was past it or not. But he's just not getting service. They're just all over the place on the pitch a little bit.
Well, in the game against Riga, I think, he played as a right back.
Well, he's got the experience. I mean, if you look at, in the UK, there was a striker called Dion Dublin. He used to go and play at the back from time to time as well. So experienced strikers at the back, not necessarily a bad thing. Was he effective as a right back?
Well, he conceded 2 penalties.
Yeah. Okay. So
not as effective. I mean, It depends for which team, right?
Yeah. So I mean, we can talk about how bad the manager is, but I've got some stats which I could bring out now.
Before we talk about manager, maybe let's talk a bit about the club structure, because if you go to a restaurant and you get your food and it's undercooked and there's a hair in it.
Yeah.
And then you go to complain about the chef to the restaurant manager, and neither of them can help you. You're not coming back to this restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that with Liepaja now also, that you have a head coach who is underperforming, certainly with respect to expectations.
Yeah.
And then who do you go to? Normally you go to owners and you say, hey, this isn't working, we need a new head coach. But you can't in this situation because, well, owners don't really care. Or at least they don't appear to care. So the owner of Liepaja since 2018 is a one person.
Yeah.
It's Oleg Khramovs, who is a Liepaja-based Russian origin shipping magnate.
I
think there's some real estate stuff. And then basically what happened was, after the Liepaja's metallurg died because of the metallurgical plant going bankrupt, FK Liepaja was established, and Maris Urpakovskis was an integral part of that.
Okay, yeah.
And this Khramov person, he was one of the funders early on, but not a majority owner in any case. And then the club ran into financial difficulties, as clubs do, especially here in absence of traditional revenue streams. And so Khramovs took Liepaja over as I don't know the exact arrangement because it's not really disclosed, but let's say majority owner or sole owner.
Yeah.
In 2018.
Okay.
And at this point, the strategy changed completely. This heritage connection that I was talking about just now, basically complete 180 on it, starting to import foreign players wholesale.
Yeah.
Especially under Tamas.
He's a bit of a master.
Twice in Liepaja. Yeah. But here's the thing, that why I say that it appears that the club doesn't care about fans. Well, they don't have to. So obviously match day attendance is a little bit of a sensitive topic.
Why don't you feel they have to care about fans?
Well, I'm getting to it.
Right, yeah.
So clubs can't make money from match day revenue.
Okay.
And in Liepaja, the games are free to attend. So
right.
You certainly can't make money if you don't charge people.
Yeah.
But there are no official figures on this. But a little birdie told me, and from conversations, you can surmise that the match day revenue, even for clubs that do have fans coming and that do charge ticket fees, so that only makes up like 1 or 2% of their budget.
Okay. Yeah. So that's not a sustainable model unless
it's not
doing
sustainable
something
model.
else.
And then you have a question of, well, if you take this 1 or 2% away, you can see you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So in Latvia, if you're taking a cynical view, and much like the price of football, we're not a cynical show, you can just demolish all the stands, have a pitch in the middle of nowhere, play Virsliga, not film it, or maybe film it but only sell data to betting companies.
Yeah.
And it's going to be just fine. It's going to be just as fine as it is now.
Yeah, that's quite a tragic thing. I mean, one of the standout game for me this season was Valmiera versus Riga FC on Easter Sunday. And that was a carnival of football. That was a beautiful thing for the town. I mean, people turned up with a hot tub on the side. Like, it was a great experience. And it's an experience that I'll remember for a long time, even though every time Riga FC come to Valmiera, it's usually a great time. But yeah, I mean, Liepaja, in terms of its tourist experience, the stadium's next to the beach. I think it's worthy of a great footballing experience. So if you believe that, I mean, free ticket and so on, maybe there needs to be a bit more of a community movement from that aspect.
Well, it wasn't like this all the time. That's the thing here, that back in the days of Liepaja's Metalurgs, and even in the early days of FK Liepaja was one of the most well-attended football clubs, gathering 4,000 or 5,000 spectators in that stadium that now is basically empty whenever the team plays.
Yeah, and I do find that quite sad to see, considering it's a big stadium and it's one of the bigger ones in the country.
I think it's around 6,000.
Yeah, around 6,000, and it's also got this natural. It's got natural hills around it as well.
Well, it's the dunes, because
the dunes,
30 meters that way is the sea.
It's
the Baltic Sea. It's brilliant.
So the potential for a bit more of a community-orientated football club that creates an experience for visitors as well as people in the city needs to improve.
Yeah, well, need is a strong word, because this is where we circle back to this idea. If you have a sole owner of a club who does not need to care about fans in terms of finance, is, I guess, happy watching his team as is, well, then no one's the wiser.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have a look at the company accounts and so on to see where they, how are they sustaining themselves and so on.
I don't think Liepaja is publishing accounts.
Where are they registered though?
I don't know.
Okay.
The FK Liepaja, when I checked on the company register, is not shown as active. And I didn't really care to dig deeper and such, but the point is that, guys funding. Ramos is funding the team. It's not a tremendously expensive team. It's not like Riga or RFS. It's around 3-4 million worth. We know they've been cutting salaries to kind of get their operational costs a bit under control. And I mean, none of that is really a key here. So basically, finance comes from a very specific source that's not dependent on anything that has to do with football.
Yeah.
So in that sense, if you don't like your fans because they don't like you, well, you don't care. And I don't know if they do or not, but you can make a very good case for, well, it certainly seems like they don't. And in that sense, if there's an issue with the coach or with something else, fans may as well be standing and speaking to the wall of the Daugava Stadium, and Liepaja is going to be just as effective.
Yeah, it's a sad thing to see a disconnection between the owners and the supporters. I experienced it a little bit when I was in London, and I lived in Greenwich, not far from Charlton, and there was the fans would throw rubber pigs onto the pitch and all sorts of things in protest. And it's also happened with my cousin's team in the Netherlands, Roda JC. Some fake businessman from Mexico bought the club and just used it to rotate money and rinse the club of money.
Yeah.
And they're just recovering now. So I think who's accountable for ensuring there is good governance and better involvement of fans? It's something that the Football Association need to think about a little bit. And
club is a business, so unless you have like a German model,
yeah,
which here probably not feasible yet.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think it's sad to see the fans not having, maybe they don't have a big enough voice, but I don't necessarily think Liepaja have been a bad team either in the past, and including under Tomáš as well.
His first run, they were very decent. They won the Latvian Cup.
Yeah.
His second run, less so. But even just continuing on the fan thing.
Yeah.
That's all right. Maybe you will say, well, maybe people in Liepaja fell out of love with football.
Yeah.
You could say that. But we have a good test this year, which is Grobinje. Grobinje is, again, a town outside of Liepaja, like 7 kilometers down the road. So really, a suburb of Liepaja by, modern city standards.
Yeah.
They came to, what was it, in the first round, I think, Liepaja played at home. I don't remember who they played, Tukums or something. And then the next day, Grobinje played Riga. Also, in the same stadium, in the same location,
it was a great
one day apart.
Yeah.
First day, basically empty stadium, like 200-300 people.
Yeah. So we have
second day, there wasn't an empty spot. People were packed in the stadium and standing all around the perimeter. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that was good to see. And we do have a friend in Liepaja, and she told us that people in the city were annoyed with the constant change in players, and there had been a slight local conversion as well to Grobina. So, I mean, questions on local loyalty and so on. Maybe there's a bit of a protest, and maybe a new football business can emerge in that city. Anyway, but going back to Tomáš as a football manager, he's certainly a controversial figure. He got banned in the past. Yeah,
in 2009, he was actually banned for life.
Banned for life. Why was he banned for life?
By Latvian Football Federation because of match fixing scandal.
Yeah.
With the club that he was at the time, from Daugavpils. And then this ban was overturned. Well, not overturned, but kind of just cancelled.
Yeah, I did a bit of research. I read a few newspaper articles and
cancelled the following year, and the next day he was immediately appointed as manager for another large club at the time. So fishy, I don't know, you tell me, but certainly has a scent to it. Yeah, so he had some dealings in something somewhere and never quite got to the bottom of it. But I first saw Latvian football in Valmiera when he was the manager there, and he was all right. He wasn't bad, and he tried to employ a pressing game, and he developed a decent enough squad that the following season went on to win the league. And I did a bit of stat digging to look at career win percentages. Now, when you bear in mind... you've got managers like Arsene Wenger, who had a 58% win percentage. You've got Mourinho, 60% win percentage. And then the best was Sir Alex Ferguson, who had 65% win rate. Whereas Tomáš, he's had a career win percentage of 52%, 52.27% from 264 games, which isn't bad, especially when you've got a similar character, Harry Redknapp, who's quite successful at Tottenham. His win ratio was 40% from 1,395 games. So obviously he's played a lot more games
as well. But when you look at the Virsliga, the win percentage, you've got Simo Valakari, who has a win percentage of 48.37% from 306 games. And then you've got Victor Moroz, whose win percentage is 59.49% from 158 games. So he's not, his win percentage, his career win percentage is respectful for a manager. It's not necessarily bad. So I think he's a shady character, possibly, but I don't necessarily think he's a really bad manager. If you look at the meta manager, for example, his win ratio is just 20.34%, which is understandable considering they're a youth team.
Yeah, and I think his highlight stat would be that they play relegation playoffs 10 years in a row and never lost.
Yeah. So
he's maybe more of a cup manager.
More of a cup manager.
No, look, no one's, I think, saying that Tamas is a bad manager, right? But Tamas has been in Latvia since forever. He's been here for over 30 years. He's been a player. He's been a manager. He very much was with Latvian football from the restoration of independence, from when we restarted, from the very beginning. And I think he contributed a lot to it. I think he, both with his character, but also with his coaching philosophy, I think he's made an impact. Yeah. But there's always a but. Even if we compare, so you found some good stats comparing Tamas to Arsene Wenger, which is, I think, supremely flattering. But I have stats comparing Tamas to Tamas.
Yeah.
I have stats on points per match over the years.
Yeah.
And that metric is steadily declining.
Okay.
So his highest points per match were while he was a manager at Skonto.
Yeah, which is understandable. Yeah.
Which is also where he played the most games, 108 games. And he achieved 204 points per match.
Okay, yeah.
Next, first stint at Liepaja.
Yeah.
He played half of this amount of games.
Okay.
178.
Yeah.
So this is now we're in 2018 time period.
Yeah.
Goes to Valmiera, pretty much maintains this level of performance. So 1.71 over just under 100 games. Fine. Still a respectable number. Now back to Liepaja, that he has 70 games or something, which is from 2 years ago.
Yeah. Points
per match 1.42. Right, so you can see the trajectory; it's going down. And then the question is Tamas getting worse whilst getting more experience? That doesn't make sense.
No, he's certainly not Roy Hodgson, for example. Yeah.
Or is Virsliga just getting better / different, and so Tamas is being left a bit behind?
Yeah, I think he's old school. He's definitely old school, and he parked the bus against Auda yesterday, but he found a way to win. And I think if managers can find ways to win, they are answerable to where they finish in the league or how many results they get. So you might have a point. He's definitely old school. Will he survive? He might make it out of this season. Will he be back? Probably. But we'll wait and see. We'll see what happens.
I think people are concentrating on this. Well, they got 3 points because they scored from a set piece 5 minutes in and then parked the bus for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, with 24% possession or something.
Yeah. I think people, of course, in football, points is what matters.
Yeah.
But this is 3 points in 5 games.
Yeah, and I mean they've conceded. They've conceded 11 goals.
20%. What were your stats? 20% win rate.
Yeah.
So that's
52% win rate.
But 1 in 5 is 20.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, you're
so
referring to
they got
season,
3 points by doing that, and basically
and they got the leakest.
plunged Auda's manager into depression. Basically,
they are leaking goals like a very dodgy sewage system, letting water into the sea.
Yeah, in fact, their goalkeeper he's very good. Lazarus is good. But their system of play is so flawed now that if you look at the possession, the passing map, Lazarev's is essentially their highest rate passer. And if you look at this chart, it's just Lazarev's passing all the way to Dodo, basically the whole game.
They are the only team in the league that don't have any kind of... They are lacking tactics. They don't seem to have any kind of strategy. They'll probably, for the next few games, literally just put 5 defenders at the back, try and score 1 goal, and then do absolutely nothing for the rest of the... We'll see, but they are tactically inept right now. Whether they can change that, we will see, but... Their players, they've got too many random players who don't know each other, and they don't have a system.
Well, I think they have a system, but it's the other way around. So their system is be super passionate and, I don't know, Georgian in attack, and then stay cool in defense. But this is pretty much the complete opposite of how modern football works. If you're looking at leading managers like Guardiola now, it's all about being explosive in defense and being calm in attack.
There's build up play. There's zonal positioning and so on. I mean, back in the day when Tamas was at Valmiera, the only thing you could hear him shouting was press, press, press. He would yell at the players to get forward and win the ball, and that's kind of you could hear his voice yesterday. And there's similar things. We'll see.
I was tracking their pressing in the last game, and it's just completely ineffective.
Okay.
At one point, they had in the game against Riga, they had their 2 attackers sort of zonally pressing Riga's defensive midfielder.
So if you are a
doing nothing, nothing at all. It interfered with Riga to no degree.
Yeah. So if you're a diehard Liepaja supporter who's even tattooed the logo somewhere on your body this season, you're going to have a pretty difficult year trying to enjoy watching your team, unless there's some sudden dramatic change.
Well, if you're a Liepaja supporter to that extent, you're used to it.
Okay.
It's been years since they played in European competition, and I mean, and in terms of something happening, one would think owners would step in, but the ownership structure has zero motivation to engage with the outside world. As long as they're bankrolling the club, why should they listen to someone else?
Did they fire the last manager, the Belarusian?
Oh, so I think that was the last decent manager they had. And what happened there, that was a saga. So after 2019, just before Valmiera started going for the title, Tamas was put on hold because the owner of Valmiera was considering purchasing some Polish club.
I heard this,
And so Kalns stepped in as assistant manager, and then he was managing the team. And nobody really knew what's going on, and there were a couple of interviews here and there, but in essence that deal fell through, so Tamas was left kind of sitting on his hands. And Liepaja had a really interesting, very, very, very skilled, very clever Belarusian manager who was really trying some... I heard they were like training with drones to work on their positioning and such. Stuff that's really innovative, especially for a few years back. And they just sacked him halfway through the season, picked up Tamas. Tamas came in, started this whole reformation, sacking players, cutting salaries. There were staffing changes. And then, his first half a year, fair enough, you're remaking the team. Then he was like, all right, so I'm now a sports director, I'm a head coach, I'm responsible for recruitment, for everything, so it's all on me.
Really? So he's under the role of sports director?
That's what he said. Maybe there is a nominal one, but he essentially implied that he is responsible.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, for recruitment as well.
Yeah, okay.
Last season, just this thing with extremely high rotation of players. At one point in the summer, just 6 Senegalese landed in Latvia and immediately came out in the starting 11.
And as a result, the Senegalese have the most international players in the league are from Senegal.
Yeah, but where are they now? Are any of them even left in Liepaja now?
Yeah, they still have a few. There's Bar and there's
Bar came this season.
Okay,
Val came from Valmiera.
Yeah.
So it's not on. I think Diagne and someone else, not Diagne, Diao.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened to some of these players from last season?
He tried them out. He did not keep a big part of them, and then basically shipped them off and got the next batch in.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is what you alluded to with the secret Liepaja fan source that they don't even know who the players are because they're rotating so quickly.
Yeah, it takes away it takes a lot away from the soul of the club when there's a constant rotation of people coming and going. It's like being in a bad company where employees stick around for like 6 months and then they're gone. Nobody wants to work in a company like that, and people don't really want to be affiliated with a company like that as well.
And it's not like Liepaja are selling those players on. They're just releasing them. So what's the point? It's like a lose.
Yeah.
It's a loss for the club, it's a loss for football, and it's a loss for fans.
They're maybe trying to do Valmiera on speed or something in terms of finding quality and I
mean, maybe they're trying to do like a spray and pray approach to recruitment and hoping they'll get the next star, but doesn't seem that way, to be honest.
Yeah. Whereas I think Valmiera, based on what Khan said in the press conference after the Riga FC game, he said, we recognised we had a problem last season with some of the players and we started to make plans, and the current midfield system or players there are as a result of recognising a problem and having a long-term strategy in bringing the right players in and fixing that. So, if there is a good system, which clearly isn't happening at Liepaja, there's a problem.
Yeah. So what to do? Many people believe that owners need to bite the bullet and get a new manager in. But then again, they seem to be such buddies over there that it's almost difficult to see. I think Tamas still has what to give to Latvian football, but I do not think he has what to give as a major club manager. Yeah. So maybe it's time to move on to like the head of academy or sporting director or some kind of role. And I mean, ideally, finally learn at least a sentence in Latvian after living for 30 years here.
We will see if he does better than Almeida from Auda this season. I think that will be a good comparison on where they go. I think what's happened, Almeida, he could be a really exciting manager, but there's clearly games where Auda have been lacking league experience and so on.
But Almeida just got here. Tamas basically helped build.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that Almeida for Auda is his first year as a manager, first team as a manager, and he's coming in with some new modern ideas. I think it was interesting seeing out a Valmiera game because he certainly had some good coaching staff, and they were tactically astute. Whether his modern approach works and how to do well, and Liepaja ditch, that might be a nice comparison.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm going to, at least I'm planning to go to Liepaja for the first Liepaja derby. Some people don't like calling it that, but Grobinja versus Liepaja, that's actually in a week from now. So I'm going to go and to that stadium and I'm going to check it out by myself, see what the atmosphere is like, see what the people are like, and watch some some football, at least one team's performance.
Yeah, I think Liepaja in the summer is great, so I'm really looking forward to.
Have you been to that stadium?
I've never been to the stadium. No.
Yeah,
So
I've been there
it's
when
on
football
my
wasn't
to-do
played.
list.
We went there on a date with my wife then girlfriend.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
So that was an excellent non-match day experience.
Did you have a picnic in the middle of the pitch?
No, we did not. We just climbed the stands and took some pictures.
Okay, right. Interesting.
Enjoyed
day.
ourselves.
Yeah, I'm not sure how my wife would feel me taking her to a stadium, but I mean, you've got some nice places nearby as well. So yeah.
But you said you went to Valmiera Riga, and that was excellent.
Yeah, that was. I mean, a few people pointed out on Twitter, like quite a few different things. Carnival of football, really good away attendance. So the Riga FC fans really loud and vocal, and then the Valmiera home supporters were fantastic. And of course, when your team's winning, it's even better. There was really good atmosphere from both supporters. And on top of that, it was a sunny day. It was a long weekend, and it was a really good game of football. Particularly if you're a Valmiera fan, watching your team play really well and go top of the league as a result of beating one of the biggest teams in the country. There was a hot tub, which has had more publicity than many things in the league this season. So yeah, it was. One of the best experiences in Valmiera. I love the grass pitch, the new stadium there as well, and
the renovated stadium.
The renovated
it's
stadium.
Not new by any means. It's
not new.
Built in the late 30s.
Yeah. It's been developed, and that's being in the middle of a forest, not far from the Gauja River. I think it's a beautiful setting, and it's fresh air, and great place to enjoy. That's one of my favourite stadiums in the country.
I wanted to attend it for the opening game, which was the Latvian Cup final between RFS and Liepaja, when RFS won 1-0. That was the first game after stadium renovation was held there, but unfortunately I didn't make it, hoping to get there, because I kind of noticed that I'm mainly attending things in Riga, and even in Riga I'm mainly attending either the LNK Sporta Parks or the Skonto Stadium when that kicks in. Yeah,
I mean, you've got the Measure Parks Sports Village.
I don't like it.
No,
I really don't like it. It's hard to get to, and I just dislike the experience of it.
Yeah, I think it might be nice in the summer, but it was like I went last Friday. Bit cold. It's on the water. It's a difficult. I mean, the park Measure Parks is one of the best parks in Europe. I think it's a beautiful place. So you've got the water, you've got the forests, the zoo as well. I mean, there's so much space there. But yeah, getting there can be a challenge when the weather's not so good. I think when the weather's fine, then it's easy. But yeah, it's just a bit cold and can be a bit of an inconvenient stadium. My friends loved it. I went with my two friends, and they said this is one of the best stadiums we've been to in Latvia.
Oh wow, that's horrible. You should take them to more stadiums.
Yeah, the pitch looked like a carpet.
I mean, it is an artificial pitch.
It's an artificial pitch as well, but it's very shiny.
You also went to Meta. You went to the infamous Hanzas Vidusskolas Laukums.
Yeah, so that's next to Riga Arena, and it's very accessible. On the other hand, I just wish the stands were a little bit higher. But yeah, I've played football there a few times. It's like it's a particular type of pitch. There's not much to it really.
That's what they say. Yeah, that's what everyone says. But speaking of pitches, we went a couple of times to LNK, the home of RFS and a few other teams, but mainly RFS. And they are building a main stand for the grass pitch. They said they will in time for the European Games. I was a bit skeptical. Yeah. But I mean, it's coming up very nicely.
It's looking good. It's a cool little hub around there. I really enjoy visiting. We took the tram to the last game we went to.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, RFS. They were playing Valmiera. Yeah, of course they were. Yeah, great win for Valmiera.
Great win.
Brilliant.
1-0 and then sat in defence.
Counter-attacking game. But they had a few counter-attacks that game. They weren't...
Two is not few.
I think they had more than that. They
two
caught,
shots on goal.
They caught them on the break enough times. They might have only had 2 shots, but they had a lot of chances on the wings and through the middle. But yeah,
so. That's not what I remember.
Yeah, I like the development going on over there. I think it's a nice area, and when the new stand's built, it's summer will be fantastic there. You've got the water as well. You've got the nice views of TV tower in the background. Bit of a love it or hate it monument, but I think it's a great monument. But it's a nice area, and the new stadium, potentially talks of a new stadium could be not too far from there as well.
Well, I don't believe I'll live long enough to see that, but that's not a topic for today.
You might have a grey beard at some when that happens. Yeah.
Might have a grey beard just following the process.
Yeah. Riga Derby, you mentioned that might... Where will that be?
Right, so the first Riga Derby of this season, which is end of this month.
The game to go to at the start of the season.
Yeah, well, any point of the season is the best of Latvian club football, despite consistently ending in a draw in the recent past.
Yeah,
in the regulation time. So that is rumored to it should be able to take place in Skonto.
Yeah.
The weather is nice. The new pitch in Skonto from last year is a hybrid pitch. It's very interesting, much more durable than regular grass. So it's rumored that we should be able to transition to that pitch for the Riga Derby, meaning that we'll have 2 Skonto Riga Derbies, which is every time just a party.
Yeah,
it's a festival.
Yes, it's the great Latvian sporting occasion, which is a must-go-to experience. And with the weather being how it is at the moment, good bit of sun, occasional bit of rain, the pitch should be in quite good condition. So I love grass fields. I think it makes for more exciting games. So.
And Skonto is always so full for these games. In terms of club sports, no sport in Latvia even matches that attendance level.
Yeah, other than international games. Yeah, it's
but not by much. Right?
Yeah,
because Skonto it's not made of rubber, so
no. And there used to be a temporary stand in Skonto. What happened to that?
Disallowed by the UEFA back in the day.
Okay.
So Skonto used to be 10,000 seat capacity back when Latvia played in the Euro 2004.
Yeah.
And that has now whittled down to just around 6,000 when you take that temporary stand away, when you take all the seatings behind the technical areas and this and that. And so that's how it is.
So they replaced them with double-decker buses last season.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tradition. Buses park behind the away goal.
Yeah.
And then people party and
tourism experience. Have a tour of a city and then roll into the match. But that's a bit unfair because I went to see Fulham a couple of seasons ago. They had a temporary stand, and Wrexham have got a temporary stand as well. So maybe they should look into that again this season.
Skonto's days are numbered, unfortunately. We don't know how numbered, but it's a stadium that will be demolished sooner rather than later, unfortunately, and have a bunch of office buildings built in its spot because its real estate is extremely valuable where it is.
It would be rather sad because it's, particularly for international visitors, it's an ideal location to ensure the Old Town economy is kept in business, and it's a really good place for a stadium and for urban planning as well, I believe.
Yeah. And if you want to find out more about why, we'll go back to our episode on Latvian football development. I think it was called State of Latvian Football Development, with an expert who is now also in the runs for the leadership of the Football Association. That we have elections coming up. Maybe we'll cover that. when the time comes.
Yeah, close.
Or maybe nothing changes and nobody is the wiser. But yeah, so that's the deal with the Virsliga in the first month. We focus on Liepaja today because it's just something that's worth paying attention to and highlighting. It's a fantastic football city, and it's just a club that's very recently completely spitting on it, for lack of a better term.
It is a fantastic city. It's going to be the European capital of culture. I've mentioned that in previous episodes. It's one of the best places to go to in the Baltics in the summer. The music scene is incredible. There's some great festivals. So
it's the rock and roll capital of Latvia.
Yeah, rock and roll capital of Latvia. There's streets that play music and so on. Yep. It deserves a good team that is competitive and has a good sustainable model. And
embedded in the community and the history of football there.
And you can see the tourist board's involvement. I mean, they're sponsoring both the teams.
Well, it's not the tourist board, that's the Liepaja football school.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you can see that they're happier sponsoring Grobinja.
Yeah.
So that they get priority training slots in the city infrastructure and all that. We also came up with a best 11 for this following month. It's not exactly tracking months, but we'll do basically since the last episode, which, as we're recording, is 5 match days back. And it's not what you might expect. It's when we did our best of last season, it was pretty much RFS and Riga players with a couple thrown in. It was Samoilovs from Tukums and I think Ramirez from Auda, and everyone else was just half RFS, half Riga, which is fair enough for that season because that's how the Virsliga 2023 was. It was 2 teams and then everyone else. That's not how it is now, and I'm very excited we put this together, and so we came up with Orals for Daugavpils standing in goal, left back Tavares of Auda, Balodis, one central defender from Valmiera, Kudelkins, second central defender from Daugavpils again, and Savalnieks as the right back, who's been fantastic and has been scoring goals.
Yeah. Did he get an assist as well?
Getting assists, scoring goals, just doing amazing stuff. In the midfield, we have Dashkevich of Riga FC, the youngster who is also on our players to watch list.
Yeah, putting in some amazing crosses, and I mean that's one of the reasons why Regja has been scoring goals because of it. He's been playing some deadly balls.
So active also. Then we have Correa from Meta.
Yeah,
doesn't that?
Yeah. Runs at players. He did well against Daugavpils, but he couldn't quite get the end product. He was good at running.
But he scored, I think, 2 penalties at this point, so definitely looking good. We have Vapne for Valmiera as the second midfielder.
Yeah.
Pleasure to see. A bit young, a bit falling out here and there. But
needs to find consistency, and he'll go far if he can turn up to every game and manage his energy levels, I guess.
Then we have Shityakovs for Jelgava, who scored Jelgava's first ever goal versus RFS.
Yeah.
And it's just really looking good. We have him as right winger. He's kind of a left winger, but will not split hairs here.
He can cut inside. Yeah.
So we'll play a modern hybrid system with 2 left wingers. That's perfectly fine. And then we have Regja and Golianen up front, so Riga FC and Daugavpils forwards, leading the 4-4-2 formation. That is our formation for, since the last episode.
4-4-2, yeah, old school.
I mean, why play, we're here focusing on players, not on formations. If we looked at formation, maybe we would be looking at like 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And so that's that. Please, if you enjoy the podcast, please leave us a review. It doesn't even have to be a good review. It can be, well,
it's more about your thoughts. Let's get a bit of a forum and conversation.
Well, it's actually more about the algorithm because the goal of the podcast is to expose more people who don't know about Latvian football to Latvian football because we love it for all the reasons mentioned in the previous episode, and reviews are a big part of what algorithm values. So even if you leave a review that says Good.
Yeah,
One
thumbs up.
word, that's fine. That's going to help us tremendously. That's going to support the show. That's going to help bring more attention to the work that we're doing. So leave a review if you don't want to write a word, good, or labi, L-A-B-I.
Yeah.
Go for that.
Good Latvian learning.
Yeah, maybe just put the 5-star or whatever you feel this is worth. That's the second best. We're very grateful for those who engage with us on social media. It's great to see the engagement rise.
And taking part in the polls. We've been putting out a lot of polls lately and opinions on trying to get people's thoughts and insights.
Yeah, we want to draw you in as well. Obviously, there are technical limitations, but I mean, maybe down the line we can look into streams and whatnot. But this isn't about me and Frank and me, and then Gustav's in the back. It's just about Latvian football, and we're no experts by
we're no
any
experts,
stretch of the imagination.
But we're on a mission to help Latvian football.
Yeah, this isn't
globally.
An expert show. This is a football show. We're fans. We love the game. We want to share it, and we're very, very happy that you are engaging with us, and we encourage you to engage with us more. So we are on Twitter /X. We are on Instagram, and of course, now we're experimenting with these video podcasts. So we're also on YouTube.
Covering all the platforms. And we continue to seek for new sponsors. We are in talks with a number at the moment. And today's episode, which we'll do a tweet about afterwards, is we're sponsored by Navi Savvy, a travel app, who are looking to buy videos, 10-second videos of Latvia. So did you know you can get paid to upload videos of travel experiences in Latvia?
Really?
You can indeed. So you simply download the Navi Savvy app and then upload your 10-second videos of Latvia, whether you're in the Gauja National Park, Sigulda, Latgala, Daugavpils, Riga, anywhere you want, Kolka. Upload it and you get $2.
$2?
Yeah.
So you're saying that I can document my tram trip to LNK Sporta Parks, upload that, and cover the cost of beer?
Yeah. You can upload a video and that will cover your night out, your big night out. Yeah.
Wow.
Or videos, as long as they're to a good enough standard. Yeah. So I guess show Navi Savvy your favourite videos of the country right now and get $2 per video. So get your 100 videos up there.
Yeah. For the sake of transparency, what happens with these videos, Frank?
The videos are used, we are told, by tourism organisations.
Right. So it's not a Cambridge Analytica kind of
It's not
situation.
it's not a Cambridge.
Not going to track where you shot the video and then follow you home.
Well, I've been told that this is purely to help travellers see and experience more.
It's basically Google Street View but video.
Yeah. Well, download the app and then you can have a look. Or navisavvyapp.com.
Oh, and thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you at the end of April.
End of April. Keep showing your love to Latvian football. Keep the conversation alive. And let's keep an amazing season being amazing.